Hi, I'm Sandra Walker. I'm an archaeologist and an ethnobotanist, and I can tell you what's edible and what's not in here. I'm the author of Path to Wild Food, and I'm working on my next manuscript, which is Revenge on Your Weeds, a dish best served hot or cold. And there should be lots of weeds here. Well, sorry, don't mean to offend your weeding habits, but there's lots of delicious things out here that we can eat, both native and things that come in from the wind or bird droppings. This is giant hyssop, which is a member of the mint family, has a square stem. Flick the flowers, you'll get the seeds out of it, and then use it in your soups and stews. The leaf is really good. I have a recipe for making sauces with this in my book. It tastes like licorice almost. It has a black licorice flavor to it. So for revenge on your weeds, here's dandelions. You can use the leaves, and actually the best way to make the leaves edible is you soak them in ice water for a while and then change out the water, and then they become edible. So you can use them you can saute them, you can throw them in your salads. The root you can dig up, roast it, and it's a substitute for coffee as well. Okay. You can eat the flower heads, they're very bitter. But again, the best way to get rid of the bitterness on dandelions is to soak it in ice water, and early spring is when you want it, or the fall when you're starting to get fresh leaves again. Here's some bergamot. This too is a member of the mint family, has a square stem, and you can eat the flower petals. I make a jelly with the flower petals and the leaves. This is the underlying ingredient in Earl Grey tea, in actual fact. So these are Jerusalem artichokes. This is an interesting plant because it's one of the first plants that First Nations planted to help condition the soil, and it's the tubers on it that is edible. It's a good starch to eat. That it doesn't convert quite as much to sugar as other starches, just like Indian breadroot, which does not convert to sugar. Fall and early spring, you can still dig up the tubers, but at this point, I would let them get nice and actually, if you leave them in the ground and dig them up in the spring, that's the best time to get them. That's the one thing I have found. And then over here we have a fireweed, member of the primrose family. And the reason it's called fireweed is it's the first thing that shows up after a forest fire. And you can make jelly out of the flowers. You can eat the young shoots coming up. It's hard to get mixed, the quackgrass and the leaf. There's the leaf on it, isn't it? But the young tender leaves you can actually eat as well. They make hand lotion with this stuff, actually. There's another thing. So yeah, this is native sage here. And this is edible. A lot of people just think it's not as edible as the other. It's the pasture sage that's not edible. It's too bitter. And again, you want it at the young stage. This would start to get a little bitter to eat. This is a member of the mallow family. And the root on this is actually quite sweet and tastes very similar to marshmallows. And actually, that's where marshmallows get, because it is a member of the mallow family, is where marshmallows come from. And usually what happens when the root is dried out and ground up, when you put the powder in your mouth, it actually foams up like a marshmallow. Wild mustards. They're absolutely delicious. But again, early spring is when you want to eat them. You can use the flower heads. You can actually even use the seeds from them to make mustard. The root is also somewhat edible. The leaves in the early spring, great addition to salads, those kind of things. You can stir them up as like a collard green as well. You have shepherd's purse here. This too has a peppery flavor to it. You can use the young tender leaves, and these seeds you can also use for cooking as well. Great in soups and stews, Asian soups and stews, those kind of things. Plantain is supposed to be good for bug bites like dogwood, but I find dogwood is far more superior. It also works really good for eczema. If you heat up the leaf on a frying pan just so that it's wilted and put it on the area where your eczema is, it helps cure it a lot faster. Absinthe. Yeah. And there is a native this is wormwood is another name for it. And there is a native version which has a finer feathery looking leaf, but the seed head looks similar. Okay. This was brought over by the Ukrainians, and it was brought over on purpose to make the alcohol called absinthe. Okay. Which, if you drink enough of it, is a hallucinogenic, and Hemingway wrote all his books on this. So was it the absinthe or Hemingway? They made it illegal to use in Canada to turn it into, yes, because of the hallucinogen. You can buy absinthe now, but they've taken that hallucinogenic product out of it. You can make this in, I like doing butter with it, young tender leaves, and you chop it up finely and put it in your butter and those. So it is edible. It is also what you use to make the medication to deworm your pets, sort of thing. You can make a tea out of it as well. It is a member of the sage family. So this is alfalfa. Makes a wonderful tea. Really good for monarch butterflies too, to encourage monarch butterflies coming here. So yeah, if you're a big teetotaler, I like the tea on this one myself. This is ochra or mountain spinach. And these leaves are a little bit stronger than spinach leaves. So I make cabbage rolls with them because they are nice and strong. And it's a really good substitute for spinach. You can also eat the seeds, which has, there is a fairly large seed in there. You'd have to harvest the husk off of it, of course. But I think this is delicious. I'm growing this weed in my garden on purpose. So you can make tea out of the yarrow as well. This too works as afterbite. It is a nice mild flavor, but it doesn't work as good as the dogwood for the afterbite. But yeah, you can make a tea out of this as well.